Hey, my friend, I'm really excited to be coming to you today with another case study and results-based video coming right from an analytics account of one of our existing clients. And by name, by the way, if you've never come across my videos before, this is Daryl Evans, co-founder of Yoka Local Internet Marketing here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And in today's results and case study video, we're going to be covering some of the results for a family law attorney. Now, if you're not a family law attorney, but you're a professional service provider of any kind, professional services, home services, where traditionally, someone's going to come to you as the professional to solve a problem for them, then this video is going to be applicable to you. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the legal space, because what we're going to be doing is talking about the structure of our six-step process as it pertains to this particular attorney, this particular client. And I'll let you know a little bit of background on his situation. But if you haven't had a chance to grab our six-step playbook, you can get that at yokalocal.com/playbook. Along with that, you'll get a six-part free email course that will break down all six of those steps on that one-page document. So it's something that seems to be one of our most popular downloads on our website, gives a lot of great value, and explains all of the six steps that we don't have all the time in the world to go through today. So we want to keep this video relatively short, show you some real hard proof, and give you some of the methodology around how we helped this attorney who had no internet presence whatsoever in January of 2015, and here we are, January 2017. So let's go ahead and dive in. We have a saying in our company, just so you know, obviously I've got the client's name blocked out, but you can see that I'm logged into my account here in our Analytics Master account. And I like to always start with, when we talk about this, we like to talk about goals. We like to talk that our job as a marketing agency for our clients is to get them results, right? And so many business owners out there get caught up working with companies and or producing, or should I say, just people are measuring the wrong things, right? So if you're going to win in this game in online business, you've got to measure the right things. So we're going to start by measuring, number one, let's look at the date range we're talking about here. So December 21st to January 19th. We're recording this on the 20th. And let's talk first of all about the type of results that are coming in. We can talk about the strategy and the high level in just a moment. But in the last 30 days, he's gotten 142 goal completions. And just so we're clear about that, goal completions are simply leads, right? Those are leads. Those can come in a couple of ways. Now I'm going to show you in just a moment. You can see that a good chunk of those leads have come in by phone call. You know, a lot of our professional service providers, home service providers, consultants, they really thrive on those phone calls. A lot of their industries, I should say, they're not as apt, the consumers are not as apt to fill out forms for their industries. And as you can see on the right-hand side here, let me move my video monitor out of the way. In this particular case, the contact form, which is another lead capture form on his website, has 31 of those leads. So 142 leads over the last 30 days. And what does this goal value mean? And this is another thing that's extremely important. We talk in our agency a lot about how to make your website the #1 salesperson in your organization, which means in this case, 26% of everyone who touches his website, that's 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4, I want you to hear that. 1 out of 4 people are raising their hand and either picking up the phone and calling him or filling out a form on his website. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is a really astronomically high number. I will tell you that if you are experienced in this, 26% is really, really high. I'm not telling you we're lucky. I'm telling you we're very strategic, and I'm not going to get into how nitty-gritty and strategic. I will give you a little bit of the insight here in just a moment. Stick with me, but I can't give you the secret on this. This has been an astronomical scenario. Now, let's take a look at month over month. Well, let me do this really quick. What does this goal value mean? Obviously, this isn't an e-commerce business. It's a service business. He's an attorney. Obviously, he doesn't charge, he charges by the case and so forth. I don't even really know how he charges, by the hour or by the case. He's a family law attorney. But as you can imagine, what we do is we try to assess the value of a lead. And what's important about that is if we know the value of a lead, which means if we know if we get X number of leads through the portal, that we're going to get X number of sales on the back end, and whether that number is 1 out of 10 leads are going to convert to a case, or 2 out of 10 leads are going to convert to a case, then what we now have is we have an arbitrage opportunity to lay out a certain amount of money from a digital marketing standpoint, whether it's advertising, search campaigns, whatever that might look like. So we can arbitrage that. If I told you that for every dollar you gave me, I'm going to give you back $2. Well, how many dollars would you find in your pocketbook to give me? You're going to play that game as many times as you want. And a lot of marketing companies and agencies, they talk that talk. But what we're showing you here is we walk that talk. And what's important about this is this $14,000. What I can tell you is on an average monthly basis, our client is getting somewhere, as he reports, somewhere between 13 and 18 cases per month. So if you know anything about law, and you know, if you're watching this and you're an attorney, you know, just do the math on that. The average case, probably is in the neighborhood of a couple of $1,000s. So his arbitrage is quite strong. Let's look at how this performs over the previous 30-day period, because again, we're in a constant, never-ending improvement business, right? When people hire us, when companies hire us to do marketing, one thing we don't do is we don't just set it and forget it. We don't just do something one time and start seeing some results. So how does this perform over the previous 30-day period, right? So you can see that just that number alone is up another 49% over the prior month. Now, he does have some seasonality. There's a little bit of seasonality in the family law space that a lot of people around the holidays don't tend to get divorced. So things start to slow down, and a lot of the things in his particular niche, every business has different types of seasonality issues. So there was a slight drop there. So we're going to attribute a little bit of that to some seasonality. But what you would see is, even if you look at the prior month, his prior month conversion rate was at 15%, right? So at 15% roughly. So that's still an astronomically high number. So we're looking basically at the types of results. Now let's go in and take a look at the channels, because this is all we really want to talk about. When we talk with business owners, we talk about having a holistic strategy. It starts, number one, with understanding who the buyer is, then figuring out how we're going to get traffic, then figuring out how we're going to convert them to leads, and those that are not ready to buy yet, how we're going to put them into a nurturing campaign. And then when we have happy clients, we need to get reviews, testimonials, and we need to help get into the database of our happy clients. And then we've got to build a system that scales for growth. So when this gentleman started with us, he had no online presence. So let's just keep this really, really simple. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out this comparison just so I can kind of bring this into picture for you, into focus. Not all of these leads are coming from the same place. And this is where a lot of business owners make mistakes. They say, well, I want to rank on the first page of Google, or, I just want to run paid advertising. Well, if you look at this gentleman's campaigns, you can see that he's got a healthy mix of where those leads are coming from. You can see here, there's the lion's share of the leads are coming from organic, direct traffic. Now, here's the interesting thing about direct that you have to know and be aware of, is that direct traffic is not always direct, meaning someone typed in www. That could be direct because of our retargeting campaign, which means somebody came to the website via pay-per-click or Google or a referral site. They didn't convert at that time, and then we followed them around the web to get them back to the website. It could also have been that someone bookmarked the site because they were what we call a top of the funnel visitor, and they weren't ready for a consultation. They weren't ready to discuss their case with him, and they came back to the site later and they bookmarked it and came in direct. We also know that part of search results just show up as direct. I mean, it's proven that we can't exactly track exactly where everyone comes from. Google cannot. And so we do get some of that direct traffic is also really organic, but unfortunately we can't differentiate it. And then we do have paid starting to ramp back up in his campaign. He does run a paid campaign. But what's really interesting here is I want to just open up organic, because so many of you out there are just misguided on what it really takes to build your presence online. And I'm going to prove to you he had no presence online just at the time period that I mentioned before. So let me go back to 2015. And I want to show you he had no presence online. I mean, literally, just take a look at this. Some of you are so, microwave minded that you're not willing to be patient as things go on. So in our process, after we've determined, and you can see here that I've moved over to the organic side of the ledger, because this is the number one reason why people come to us. They literally believe that if I'm on the first page of Google, I'm going to crush it. Well, it's a start. It's a good help. But unfortunately, just because you decide you're going to get on Google that day, or you're going to decide to take online marketing seriously, doesn't mean all your competitors are just going to move out of the way. It doesn't mean Google owes you a slot on the first page of Google. So what we do in the process, and this is what we recommend that everyone do, is we, number one, identify the best buyer persona that we can go after. And what we mean by a buyer persona is, let's look at it this way. in the legal business, and particularly his niche, which is family law, there are all different types of cases. There are cases that have custody issues. There are cases regarding certain levels of property that has to be decided on. There are certain cases where there may be businesses involved, different various levels of assets involved. So the question becomes is where can we enter the market and get immediate traction, right? So what we are trying to do is identify, because again, the bigger competitors in town, the larger competitors, or even the competitors who've just been playing the game longer, they're not just going to move aside so you can come onto the first page of Google. And it doesn't matter how good of a company you hire, whether it's us or somebody else, you just can't walk onto the first page of Google. So we have to come up with a strategy that creates this type of growth curve. And so in the beginning, we're looking for that number one buyer of all the different types of cases that he could handle, of all the types of scenarios he's handled in his career. What can we narrow down and go after one target audience initially? How narrowly focused can we get on his website? How narrowly focused can we get in his buyer persona so that we can draw the right visitor to his website? That's why you're going to see the scenario where you see a high number. And this is overall, look at this. This is lifetime on the campaign. So from January 1st of 2015 to today, lifetime, he's got 16% of everyone who touches the website converting. Now, I'm not sure where you are right now in your business. I'm not sure if you're getting these kinds of results. If you're getting better than 16%, God bless you. I'm extremely happy for you. But most of the clients we talk to are just not getting these kinds of results. Now, I will tell you that the arbitrage that he's got coming in through this process, he's got $61,000, or I should say a total of $64,000 in lead value coming through his campaign, lifetime. And what's exciting about that is he's got exactly what he wants. He wants to show up every day and do law. He wants to show up every day and solve problems with families. Unfortunately, the situation of divorce is tough. Custody is divorce, and all these other types of things that he does inside of his practice. But it really comes down to understanding and building a strategy before you start running into the tactics. So once again, you'll get more of an understanding of how to build this. If you're not seeing these kinds of results, how to, number one, start with a buyer persona that you can go after and target. And you may have 4 or 5 or 6 buyer personas in your particular niche, but understanding the psychology of that buyer and what's giving them pain. They just don't want to get divorced. If you're a family law attorney, your people just don't want to get divorced. There's underlying psychology behind what's going on there. And if you can speak to that, then you're going to attract the right visitors, qualified people who are then going to convert. And there has to be a specific conversion path. And then you're going to finish the process by getting them through to a nurturing cycle. One of the things that we love about working with professional service providers is they just love what they do. They just love what they do, and they're happy to tell us who their ideal customer is. And it's not just a new case. So that's really the essence around a campaign like this. But I want to wrap this up. I've kept you long enough, but I want you to think about the type of traffic coming to your website. Are you getting the type of lead conversions on your website? 16% in this particular example of every person who comes to the website is either picking up the phone and calling him from an organic or paid type of modality. And it just makes for a strong online presence. And you can see that he started from nothing. So download the document if you haven't gotten it, yokolocal.com/playbook. And I'll see you on another case study and results video. Take care.